Okay, now the battle over parental rights and how Washington school districts are responding is front and center for 2 days of meetings that begin tomorrow. They're being held at a Radisson Hotel in the SeaTac area. This is the Professional Educator Standards Board. These board members are appointed by Governor Bob Ferguson. And what they're charged with doing is rewriting the rules, basically. But what it means is your child's superintendent, depending on where they go to school, could end up losing their job if they are not in compliance with House Bill 1296, which was passed by lawmakers in 2025 in the legislative session. That was the bill that kind of undid the Parental Bill of Rights passed the year before. And 1296 said you can keep secrets from parents. If your child is socially transitioning at school and Bobby wants to be called Susie, we don't have to tell you. If your child is seeing a counselor at school and saying, I'm confused about my gender, I maybe want to explore the idea that I'm trapped in the wrong body, they don't have to tell parents. There have been several school districts in our state, which we've written about extensively, that have pushed back on this. And we talked about this in yesterday's episode of Washington in Focus Daily. One of those school districts is Kennewick, where the school board president, Gabe Galbraith, has been very outspoken about this. And he says, stop bullying us. The state, we should have local control. That's always been something that in the state of Washington, local school districts have been happy. They're the ones that hire the superintendent that will uphold and sort of align with the values of that school district. Things in central and eastern Washington are vastly different than they are in most of western Washington when it comes to, politics of how schools operate. But I want to share part of my conversation that I had with two of these board members with PESB. That again, this is the board that is going to be amending its rules this Friday to align with House Bill 1296. So I spoke to PESB's Director of Policy, Michael Wynn, and another one of their officials. I want to share part of that conversation with these board members that I had late in the day on Tuesday.
This basically, the statute is all the statute is saying is actually that superintendents must follow the law. It says that if they don't follow the law, it would be considered unprofessional. That's basically the definition we're putting in the statute.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is, but you're telling them they have to follow the law, but then some of these superintendents are saying, but it's in conflict with federal law.
Well, that would be up to the interpretation of the courts at that point. That's not up to us. We are basically putting on the books saying superintendents must follow the law, and if not, you could be considered unprofessional based on that. And then, but what the law is that's a different, which law they follow is not up to us to interpret.
And I think part of that is we are a state agency, so we follow state law and directives from the legislature, the RCWs. And so yeah, that battle is one that, the DOJ is fighting with the state.
So you see them basically saying federal law may conflict with state law, but we're in charge of state law. And so that's what we're charged with doing and making sure we're in compliance. And so they have to change the WAC, and it's expected that they will on Friday. Now, one other thing I want to mention in my conversation with these two gentlemen from PESB, I pressed both Wynn and the interim executive director you just saw there, Ron Jacobson, on why the board is making the change at this point. You remember this was passed in 2025. Here we are in the middle of 2026, now just sort of amending the WAC to be in compliance, especially given the fact we've got two initiatives that are going to be on the ballot in November. These are the initiatives to protect girls and keep boys out of girls' sports, trans athletes out of competing in the wrong gender category, and also to restore the Parents' Bill of Rights and go back to the original Parents' Bill of Rights before lawmakers amended it with House Bill 1296. But when I asked both of these gentlemen about the initiatives, I was told, and I'm going to read this so I don't misquote them. The first gentleman, Mr. Wynn, told me, I'm not aware of that. He was referring to the initiatives. And then he said, what are you referring to? Again, I had asked him specifically about the initiatives. And then Mr. Jacobson said, I'm not aware of those initiatives or polling around any of those, indicating he too was unaware of the high profile initiatives. I bring that up only because it seemed very odd to me that neither of these gentlemen who are on a governor appointed board that's going to be amending a WAC referring to this exact issue is not aware that voters are going to be weighing in on this in less than 6 months. I just found it a little bit curious. Now, anyone wishing to provide comments, and you can go and attend these meetings in person if you are so inclined and passionate about this issue. Anyone wishing to provide comments can go sign up Friday morning in person at 8:15. They're only taking public comments, it says on the agenda, for 15 minutes from 8:45 to 9 a.m. on Friday. You can also, though, provide written comments to the board. And Mr. Wynn with the PESB board, he told me, based on public comments and input here, the board could end up putting off ultimately a decision here on amending the Washington Administrative Code. I found that very interesting. He did share that. I would encourage you to go to the Center Square Washington page today. I put up an article, and there are links on how to provide your written comments, links as well to information and directions as to where these meetings are taking place over the next 2 days. So again, check out the Center Square Washington page for my article with direct links to all of this.